Hello everybody and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So we're on chapter 11 today, Relationships Influence Your Talent. So before we jump into that chapter, we're going to go ahead and invite some people onto here.
Brian should be back from Vegas today.
Nice. Alrighty.
Hi Stacey, how are you? Hopefully everything is well. So today we're going to talk about relationships. So this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show where we go over basically about a book a month. Sometimes it's a book and a half. This month will end up a book and a half. So we're on Relationships Influence Your Talent. And I thought this quote basically said it all. It says, almost all of our sorrows can be traced back to relationships with the wrong people, and all of our joys can be basically traced back to relationships with the good people, the right people. So relationships kind of make or break you throughout your life. It says the direction of relationships take us. Relationships in our lives really do make or break us. They either lift us up or tear us down. Some relationships take from this. It says critics constantly complain and give unwanted advice. So these are, it says, let's face it, some relationships feel as if they could suck the life out of you, and some do. In his book, High Maintenance Relationships, Les Perot identifies the type of people who are likely to hurt us and take energy away. So these are the people who hurt us, so this is a good list to have to know who to avoid. The critics, the martyrs are forever victims and, basically completely attracted to self-pity. The wet blankets are pessimistic and habitually negative. The steamrollers, blindly insensitive to others, they're just constantly, running people over. The gossipers, spreading rumors. The control freaks, unable to let go and let people do things. The backstabbers, usually two-faced, waiting for you to turn around. The green-eyed monsters, with envy. Volcanoes that always seem to blow up. The sponges that can never do anything alone by themselves. And the competitors who are always keeping track of everything. Dave, what's up? So let's also offer a straightforward quiz to help us whether someone in your life is a negative person who sucks energy away. And basically it's an answer yes, no to the questions, and there's so many I'm not going to go into all of those. He says, but I didn't mean to imply that there are only negative relationships and require to basically put energy into them. All relationships require you to give some kind of energy. So there's energy expelled in any relationship. It's just making sure you do the right kind of relationship. The question is how much energy do they require, and do they give anything in return? For example, some of the positive relationships that require tremendous amounts of energy would be family. And we all know that sometimes our family calls and they need our energy and our time. The book we're going over is Talent is Never Enough by John Maxwell. Hi, Diana. So my family, my inner circle of friends, the people you're closest to, you're going to have to give a certain amount of energy to. My team, leadership begins with serving others. It says I always try to give them basically my attention and at least get back to people. I was recently told by a team member that's in depth from several people, and just happens to be a friend in Colorado. And one of the things she's like, it's actually amazing. She's been in direct sales a couple times, and she's like, it's amazing because I know people don't usually get back to you, and she's like, you've gotten back to me like every time really, really quickly. She's like, that's usually unheard of, but it does take time and energy. Those less fortunate than I am, sometimes will require more time. Sometimes you have to take somebody aside and spend more time with them at the beginning. If you spend more time with them at the beginning and they get better, you have to see progress. If you don't see progress, then what you know is you're feeding a vacuum. Meaning it's just going to keep, like that. Some relationships add to us. And he goes on to that. Okay. Not long ago, as I sat down and listed types of people who add value to my life and give me energy, here's what I wrote. He's like, my family. So not only are you giving energy out, so usually it has to be like, if you give out, they have to be returning. The best moments with my family is what it's all about. Creative people. They unleash creativity. Successful people. Love to hear the stories. It gives you inspiration. Encouraging people is the oxygen of life. Fun people. Good thinkers. Good thinkers. My team, learners, people who are always interested in moving forward. So that's just kind of a short group of people who basically are going to add to the energy that you already have. Because sometimes you can come into a room and it adds energy. Sometimes you come into a room and it sucks the energy out of you. You just have to, know who you're around. Some relationships are pivotal to our lives. It says relationships commonly go through 4 stages. Surface relationships. So there's a lot of people that we have a surface relationship with. These require no commitment from anybody. Examples include clerks who help us at the post office, your banker, people you run by at church, people you might see at the gym. You don't really have to keep up with the relationship. You just see them when you see them. 2, structured relationships. The next level is a little more involved. Structured relationships occur around routine encounters, usually a particular place and time. They often develop around common interest or activity. So these are people, obviously, that you've worked with, things like that. 3, secure relationships. When a surface or structured relationship grows, trust develops, and the people involved begin to want to spend time together. So this is when it breaks out of the routine. So when you go from, there's a book called the Influence, the Law of Getting Everything, I think is what it was called. In the book Influence, it talks about when you move a relationship from kind of this exterior surface to actually grabbing something to eat with somebody, you're able to break through to another level, and then your business grows exponentially. Because people spend time with people consider friends. Like, you don't eat with people you hate, usually. Solid relationships. When people in secure relationships build on their friendship and develop complete trust and absolute confidence, it goes into a solid relationship level. So that's what you're looking for, the solid relationships. How do you build those? It builds over time. You usually don't have them instantly, but it's going out and doing these things, grabbing food, spending time with people. Very, very helpful. So, 5 signs of a solid relationship. Number 1, mutual enjoyment. Obviously, if you're not getting along with the person. So if you want a tremendous amount of people around you, you have to learn how to get along with everybody. It doesn't mean you have to like everybody, because that's not going to happen. There's going to be personality things. There's going to be quirky things people do. There's going to be, some people's just philosophy is horrible. But you have to learn how to at least get along with everybody. And then you're looking for the ones that you're like, okay, this is mutual. We both have common interests, common likes. 2 is respect, which is unheard of on Facebook anymore in life. It says when you add value on the front end of a relationship, you basically earn respect on the back end. So you're always trying to help. Respect almost always builds on difficult ground. So that's how you do it. You know, how do you figure this out? I will give you your time to talk. I'll give you time to make your point. But, you know, so often nowadays people don't want to hear anybody else's. They want to hear their point of view out of your mouth, not your point of view. Friends are scarce. Friends will not jump ship when things are going rough. Friends will be available for counsel. Friends will speak the truth to you, sometimes whether you want it or not. Friends will sharpen you. Friends will be sensitive to your feelings, but they're not going to be suckers for it. Friends will stick with you. So it says people who respect each other and build solid relationships enjoy all of the benefits of friendship. 3, shared experiences. So, you know, sometimes it's the shared experience that will bring the relationship together because you went on a trip together and something happened. Or you went out to eat and something happened. Or you were at work when something traumatic happened and there was a period of time that you had to get through with this person. Dave's here. What's happening, sir? The glory of a friendship is not in the outstretched hand, not in the kindly smile, nor the joy of companionship. It is the spiritual inspiration that comes from when he discovers that someone else believes in him and he's willing to trust him. So it's really when the trust, that's the breakthrough. And that's for trust. 5, reciprocity. You're willing to give back because you were given to. It's a mutual exchange. Usually it can't be heavily one-sided, or one person will feel like they're doing too much to make it happen. You know, that's kind of most family relationships. You're like, I'm doing too much. It says relationships to continue. You will need to make changes. Here's how it works. It says when you're getting the better of a relationship, changes need to be made. When you're the other person that's getting the better part, changes need to be made. When both people are getting equal, it continues. It continues. You know, the relationship continues. Relationships continue to be one-sided will not remain solid. Somebody's going to fall out. Somebody's going to figure it out. So, it says if you desire to become a talent plus person in the area of relationships, a person whose relationships influence him or her in a positive direction, then here is what I suggest you do. Identify the most important people in your life. You have to know who's in your corner, who's got your back. 2, assess whether they are influencing you in the right direction. Because sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're going in a completely different direction. Sometimes they're going in 25 directions. What does this person think of me? What does this person think of the future? You know, do they believe in where I'm going? Which is good to know. How does he or she behave in difficult times? Oh, that's good. You know, are they stress monsters? Do they stress you out? Do they make life worse or better? How does this person bring emotion out of me? It says, in prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Bad times really tell you a lot. If your friends aren't friends, then make new friends, which would only make sense. Most of the time, what I see people do is they're around the wrong people, and they know they're around the wrong people, but the security of having the wrong people around you is more comforting than trying to go figure out how to go find new people. Mm-hmm. And that's really rough. So relationships are going to make or break you. Now, here's a common misnomer in network marketing. Network marketing will say, well, you just have to build relationships with people. You just have to build relationships, which is true long-term for retention. It's true long-term for retention. But you do not have to have a relationship with somebody to sign somebody up into your team, into your business. That is, I think it's a common thing said inside of network marketing. It's actually kind of one of the little white lies inside of network marketing is you have to have this great relationship. You don't. We just recently have met people and signed people up. We did not know them. They were leads. But you have to learn how to build relationships. You have to learn how to build rapport is really what you're looking for initially. Building rapport is so important. It's something that I really, really took from Tony Robbins. When Tony Robbins said, you can say things the way the person says things. You can model them or mirror match them where you're going to sit the way they sit, have the same tone, maybe a little bit stronger. You're going to have the same pattern. You're going to use some of the same words. You can mirror this person and get the person will instantly like you because people like themselves. Also learning how to compliment, and you're not doing it maliciously. Like, I'm not here to recruit everybody. Like, a lot of people think, oh, well, once you know how to do this, you can recruit everybody. Well, maybe, yeah, you can be manipulative enough where you can recruit anybody. But just because you can doesn't mean you need or want, that's probably the more important word, you don't want everybody. You want the people that are going in the same direction that you're going. You want the people that believe the things you believe in. Like, I recently had to reach out to a bunch of people, up the chain of command, to try to find some people who had some commonalities. I said, look, I'm going to align myself. I'm going to align the people I'm with people who align with what we're doing and what I like doing and who I am. I'm not going to align myself with a bunch of people who are going in an opposite direction of what I'm doing. Which is, that's up to you. In direct sales and network marketing, you might sign up in one place and might plug in somewhere else. It happens. As long as you're confident enough and strong enough to know where you're going, which unfortunately a lot of people don't. So, relationships long-term will build the retention. Long-term, it's why people will stay around even if the money hasn't shown up yet. Long-term, it's why people will stay in the game long-term, is they'll come out to see you. They'll come out to see the people they become friends with. So we used to say a friendship equals an executiveship, or, will build the people who really run the show. It's the people who, become friends. And they're the ones who like to go out, hang out, do things. So you're looking for those commonalities. One of the biggest commonalities inside of direct sales network marketing is dreaming. We're going to go look at a property here after I've got an appointment. We're going to go look at a property today. It's about 10,000 square feet. It's about 35 minutes. I've been looking for something very, very, very specific. And this property popped up, so we're going to put the pictures up here later today. But, dream building, you're looking for the people who can dream, the people who aren't scared to say, okay, I want more. Most people will try to drag you back down into the bucket, like the crabs in the bucket thing. So you have to look at who you're around, changing friends. Unfortunately, when I got in the business, the friends I had didn't support direct sales, didn't really support anything. I mean, they were kind of some messed up people because I was messed up. As I changed, I realized I still was friends. I just didn't want to spend as much time around those people. And eventually, I got to the point where, you go from spending every minute to spending, 1 day a week to spending 1 hour a week to spending 1 hour a month. And I can still see them. I can still talk to people that I've known from way back, and it's still kosher, meaning I'll still get along with them. We just don't have anything in common anymore because, although we left school, I left school 25 years ago, some of the people are still sitting in the exact same place I left them. And that's not the group of people that I want to be around moving forward. Andrew's with us. What's up, sir? I want to be around people who are building, whether they're building in direct sales, whether they're building in MLM, whether they're building their own business. That's who you want to be around. My brother still knocks me. Yeah, and certain people will. But it's hard. Brandy and I had to change all my associations. Brandy obviously, came down here and didn't know anybody and had to start from there. That's why we have so many cats. No,
That's the reason.
That's the reason.
No, but yeah, I kind of had to do something similar when I was
friends. Huh? I said furry friends.
Yes, furry friends. But with me moving down here, I had to change all my relationships, and that was one of the reasons I moved too, was not just because we were starting to date and we wanted to see where things were going to go, But right before I met Jeff, I came to the realization, I was like, I don't like where I am, I don't like who I am, and I don't like the people that are around me. And I figured out, and I'm like, the commonality with all the people I've had relationships is me. So I was like, so it made sense that I would have to change myself in order to change the people who are going to be around me. And I had to make that hard decision of, I need to be by myself for a period of time before I can attract the right people. So I probably spent, when I came down here, I did make relationships with people, but I didn't have those close relationships yet. It probably took me a good 2-3 years before I really developed those close relationships with the people that I actually wanted to have relationships with, and that were going to drive me further and had ambition and were good people to be around. But it took that decision that I had to be by myself for a little while before I can be around good people. Because people who have their shit together do not want to be around people who don't. Those people who are striving for something bigger do not want to have somebody around them that creates drama or attracts drama and isn't going anywhere. They don't want to be around those people because that's not the direction that they're heading, and they don't want to be distracted. So it made sense that I had to have some goals and work on myself first before I can be in that group of people. But it's very hard for people to get to that point where they get out of that social network, like Jeff said. Some people are scared of the change. They're like, but I have to have somebody. And I'm like, well, that's the problem. If you are in a phase of your life where you have to have people, that's the issue. You have to get to the point where you're okay being by yourself before you can have other people around you. And this also applies to dating. Now, I'm a social person. I love people. I love to be around people all the time. I love to talk. I love to socialize. I like to go out with friends. And that made it very hard for me because I always had game night at my house. I always had people over. And to go from doing all that to not having anybody near me was a little tough. But when you're focused on a goal of exactly what you want and who you want to become, that's when it becomes easier and you can find the people that you really need to be around. Now, as far as MLM works and when you're trying to build a team, I'm a retired marriage family therapist. I'm testing what you're saying. Yep. So when you're building a team, we've had a couple of people ask at some points, or when I've sat and talked to people on Facebook, they're like, how exactly do you start building relationships? The easiest way to do it in MLM is go out to dinner with people, invite people to lunch. Like when you're trying to build a relationship with somebody on your team and you're not entirely sure how to do it, the best way to create relationships is to break bread. It's the easiest way to do it. And that way it's not always about work. You still need to talk about work and doing the presentations and doing the work that's required for MLM, but it can't be, every conversation that you have with the person can't be just about work. You need to ask them, like, how are you doing? How are things going? How are the kids? How's the wife at home? How's your husband? Ask questions and just go out to eat with people. We don't eat alone. My goodness, sorry, hold on. Oh, sorry about that. We try to make it a point that each time we go out to eat, we never eat alone. And I am losing my voice, and I am sorry about that. Allergy season. But we make it a point to never eat alone because of that. We invite people out when we go to Topgolf. We try to see who would like to go with. Having different activities that you can invite people out to. So that way it's creating that fun social environment. During the day, that's the time to work. That is money time, and it has to stay money time. But when you go out to lunch, or if you go out later, go to Topgolf, go do something. Have activities that the team can get plugged into that are also fun, because that's going to create the environment that people want to be involved in. However, with that being said, there's also a rule of mine. I don't go anywhere where there's drinking, because where there's drinking, some people have no self-control And that's where problems can happen. Because I don't want to go anywhere. Like, we're not going to bars. We're not going to clubs. We're not going anywhere that can get anybody into some type of trouble. Now, granted, if there is alcohol, I don't mind if people have a drink or two. But I don't want to create an environment where people are getting slammed and drunk and creating issues and then going home, and then the wife's just like, where the fuck have you been? Like, who are these people? Like, these aren't good people. What the heck are you doing? When you're doing business stuff, you as a leader, the moment there's a drink in your hand, your credibility goes down. But you also want to create an environment where people feel okay with going out and use that, because it's very common where we've gone to events or a convention and we'll go hang out with multiple different teams and we'll just go visit with everybody. And they're visiting with people that they're going in places that are very loud, there's drinking, and it's not a good environment, and it just doesn't say the right thing. So whenever you're going to spend time with people on your team, you want to make sure that it's a nice, safe environment and that people would like to come out. My rule of thumb is if they wouldn't bring their children, you probably shouldn't take your team. And that's a good rule to have. So with that, that's basically what I got out of this chapter. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, the other lesson is just look at how often you have to reach out to somebody versus them reaching out to you. Mm-hmm. That was one of the clearest ways that I figured out who I should be spending time with. Now, here's an interesting thing. Part of the problem with that is if you're messed up, meaning you have significant flaws, drawbacks, trust issues, etc., people who really have their stuff together, Brandy said this earlier, won't want to hang out with you. So I had to learn how to build trust, respect, discipline, and fix some of the stuff that was wrong with me so certain people would want to hang out, be around. Because I was doing things and hanging out with certain people, associations. Certain people didn't want to associate with me, not because of me, but because of the people I associated with. So, yeah. And as Andrew said, it's nice to hang out with a group that, and here's the thing, again, we're not against it. I've learned in the past, somebody asked me one time, they're like, how do you know so much about so many different teams and people like this? I said, because when I'm out, I'll just sit around and watch the people who drink and ask questions, and as they drink more, they reveal more, and sometimes way too much. So that's how I know about, things. So be observant, but at an, arm's distance. So that's it. What else? Tomorrow, chapter 12.
Chapter 12. What is chapter 12?
Responsibility strengthens. So responsibility is tomorrow.
All right, perfect. Well, we will see you guys tomorrow. If you guys haven't followed our group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group, be sure to join that, because each day we're going to be going over this Monday through Friday, and we're going to be going over a different book each month, or sometimes a book and a half. So if you guys haven't plugged into that yet, go ahead and join, and we will see you guys tomorrow.